This is Maria Nodoff of the Orangevale History Project. Today we're interviewing Fay Peterson, a resident of Orangevale. She is going to tell her story. Fay, what year were you born and where were you born?
I was born in 1942 in Denver, Colorado.
Okay, and where are your parents from?
My mother was from Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and my father was from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, how did you come to Orangevale?
Oh, I came to Orangevale in the 70s. My late husband, David Peterson, he had bought a house there on Greenback at 8850. I think the addresses have all shifted, so I don't know what the house address is now. But he had bought this house in the 60s, sometime in the 60s, and he and his first wife divorced, and they sold the house to a lady named Reba McNeil. And then David and I married, and the house came back on the market, and we bought the house back in 1975.
Tell us about the house.
The house it's a wonderful house. It was, the first recorded deed is 1895, and sits back. You wouldn't see it from Greenback except in the winter when the leaves are off of the trees. It's just kind of a hidden little oasis back there. And when we bought the house, we bought the commercial property down in front where L&M Liquor is now. And my husband David built that. He developed all that commercial there. And let's see, if there's the one section, the first renter was Frontier Paint. And Lockwood Vogley was the owner. And then later we acquired, I think in probably 1980, we acquired the property on the other side adjoining us where Los Portales Mexican restaurant had been. And so we bought that property, and David gave the property to, or didn't give it to them. They had the fire department come and burn it down. And so they must have had probably 3 days of training. They would have little scenarios of a murder or whatever, and until they finally burned it down, and then he developed that. He built 2 commercial buildings on that, and later sold it to Lockwood Vogley.
What commercial buildings are there now, do you know?
I'm not quite sure who's the tenants in that one. L&M Liquor is still over where the original Frontier Paint was. And he was one of our tenants when we still owned the property. Then there was Partners in Hair, that little section strip in the middle of these 2 parcels. And that was Partners in Hair, and Louis, I can't think of his last name last night, was the owner. And my daughter Cheryl is a hairdresser. She wound up working there at Partners in Hair. And when Louis retired, he wanted to sell her his business, and the new owners didn't want a hair salon there, so Cheryl went down further on Greenback and leased a spot there and had Cheryl's Paradise and Spa for several years. And back to the Greenback property, let's see, I don't know, it was just a beautiful place to live. The house is like 3 stories. The 3rd story, there's a carport, and then 2 bedrooms, one on top of the other. And then my husband added on to it, put in a indoor pool and spa with a glass retractable roof, and lots of wonderful trees. There was a cork oak. At that time, her parents owned the home, and they had 40 acres. And a big pond out front. I think if I remember right, we had, I think, 3.5 acres where the house is, and then the commercial, whatever that is down there. So I don't know where the boundaries of the 40 acres were. But we finished raising my 2 daughters there. They went to Bella Vista and Carnegie Junior High.
What were your daughters' names?
Cheryl Hogue and Debbie Hogue. And Cheryl has a history with Orangevale because she's done hair there for so many years. And at one time she was honorary mayor for the chamber. And then her daughter, Faith Ramsey, was Miss Orangevale 2010. So that's our family history there.
That name sounds familiar. I may have graduated in high school.
Yeah,
Close to it.
Debbie graduated in 77, and Cheryl class of 80.
I was before that.
So how long did you live in this house?
We were there about 11 years.
And then you moved?
We moved to Cameron Park. My husband loved cutting horses, so we bought a place up there, 21 acres, and had a cutting horse ranch, and we were, breeding horses, and then he was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he passed in 91. So.
I'm sorry. So, what are your recollections in your time in Orangevale? What were your recollections of the place? Was it still quiet?
Oh, yes. When we first moved there, the land across the street where Denny's and that whole shopping center was bare land. And so powwow days would set up the carnival every year, and the sound would carry up. I'd be trying to sleep, and you'd hear them setting up and taking down when powwow days would start and finish. Is the library there on the corner of Beach? That was bare land and a lot of thicket, shrubs. And my kids used to play in there and call it Sherwood Forest. And then the people that we sold to, Barbara and Ted Mink, they they bought all that, and then they developed those apartments on Beach. And then I think they bought a couple of houses on the next street behind us on Fortuna. And as far as I know, Ted has passed away, and Barbara still owns it, and I think her sister lives there and manages all that.
So was Sunrise Mall there at that time? What years did you live there?
From 1975 to 86.
Okay, yeah. So was Sunrise Mall there yet?
I think it was, although I do remember when they started building Sunrise, and I thought, why in the world are they building out there in the middle of a cow pasture? Because usually when you got to San Juan, that was about it.
Where did you do your shopping, your grocery shopping?
Some of it at Capri Market, right there at Greenback and Hazel. And
where did you buy clothes and those kinds of things?
must have probably, maybe the mall was there, because I'm thinking Lerner's, wherever Lerner's was.
Yeah.
What did you do for entertainment?
For entertainment, we worked. I mean, horses, we also had 100 acres out by Folsom Lake, out by Pilot Hill, that, we had horses and cattle out there. But we were working. At one time, my husband ran his business out of the front there, and he had P&L Supply, which is a trucking and drywall material supply. And then we also had David N. Peterson Company, which was a drywall company, hanging and finishing drywall, they did.
And where was this office?
There at Greenback, right in the front, the commercial stop, where there's our first building was a warehouse metal building just down from the house, but behind that strip where L&M Liquor is. And that was our first office. And then when he built that first strip where L&M is, we had the end office. And then we moved across where that middle section where eventually Partners in Hair was. So
I think that metal building is now a sign shop.
could be, yeah.
And did your girls enjoy living in Orangevale?
Oh, yes, they did, yes,
Good.
yeah.
Were they involved in with the horses?
No, not really, no.
Okay. Is there anything else you can think of about the house or about your experiences?
Well, I have a little scrapbook. I could show you some pictures of the
That
house.
would be marvelous.
Yeah.
If we could photograph that,
Sure.
that would be great.
Uh-huh.
All right.
So you can see it had the 3 stories, kind of a tower. Originally there was a solarium sunroom there, which we took down when we built the swimming pool. Backyard had, this is a picture of the house after the pool was in. This section here was all a big great room and then an indoor pool with a retractable roof. And
How about the ones on that side?
yeah, again, just different angles of the house, a little shed that was in the back. Yeah, the house out in front, there was, it was all overgrown. I attempted to clean it out, but it had been years of that. There was a pond, and then a rock, probably was a waterfall at one time, and it had stones, stepping stones all the way around it. It was beautiful, but you couldn't see it. And this is a picture of the pool. And I had 2 grandsons that were born while we were living there.
And this is the indoor pool?
Indoor pool. And part of the indoor pool. This is pictures of inside the house, the living room. And
Did this house have a name?
pardon?
Did this house ever have a name?
If not, yeah, not to my knowledge. We just call it the Orangevale house when we refer to it. So this was in 1982, I believe, and the chamber brought Santa Claus. And so this is out in front of the commercial right there. You can see it was Frontier Paint. That's where L&M Liquor is now. And this is in line. My mother was holding one of the kids, and my daughter Debbie is holding one of my other grandsons. This is my husband David in front of one of his 10-wheelers. And this is him and our dog Luke on a road grader. And this is Los Portales Mexican restaurant in the background. That's the one that we had the fire department burn down. And this is some of our, this is me washing our car in front of that one strip where L&M is. I refer to L&M because they're still there and most visible. Me in my office. This is a pile of leaves. Every year we had huge sycamore trees, and I would have to rake up piles and piles of leaves. And these are some of the workers that work for P&L Supply, and our semi. We had 2 or 3 semi trucks. This is the commercial out front. 3 different pictures of it. We were never able to get that one little spot where the Mexican restaurant is now.
Adalberto's?
But anyhow, we built all that. And then the house set in the back. Again, more pictures of that. And, David had built a 2-bedroom cottage for his mother after his father died, and so she lived on one side of us there on the property, and that would border the apartments that are on beach.
Is the cottage still there?
Yeah. And so we had her 80th birthday there. I had my 40th birthday there. My daughter Debbie, her first wedding was there, big wedding. We had probably 250 people. And then, see, this is my daughter Cheryl. She also has a homeless ministry, and the chamber had given them a check. And then, like I say, she'd also done hair in the area for several years. And this is her when she was honorary mayor for the chamber. And this was an article about her and her husband and their ministry. And this was an old picture of Partners in Hair. This is my daughter Cheryl in the background there. And then this is my granddaughter Faith Ramsey Anderson now. She got married a year ago. And she was Miss Orangevale 2010.
Does she still live here?
She lives in Temecula down by San Diego. And this is a picture of that cork oak in the background. There was a lot of beautiful trees there. There was a huge white magnolia, cork oak, fig trees, sycamore trees, lots of trees. Yeah.
One of those pigs just fell out. Did you want to
I'm
talk
sorry?
about that? There's one that fell out. Did you want to talk
Oh,
about
that, yeah, that is the pond that I was telling you is all overgrown back in there, and it sat in front of the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the driveway, I don't know, I would imagine if it hadn't been so overgrown, because the driveway split there, so you had a driveway going up either side of it, kind of a heart shape. And this is the little cottage that he built for my mother-in-law. And this is my grandchildren climbing over the fence for cookies at Grandma P's house. Yeah. And my mother also, after she'd had a stroke, we moved a mobile home on the other side of our house. And so she lived there until she passed away in 1984. So.
Well, that is lovely. Who knew that we had a house in Orangevale that was A, old, and B, had an indoor pool with a retractable roof? That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Well, thank you so much.
Well, you're so welcome.
This is wonderful information.